wanted me to add, so.
Welcome to the regular meeting for the Board of Trustees of the Sequoia Community College District. Today is Monday, March 11th. And starting off with the agenda, we do have some items to report back from closed session. So in closed session this afternoon, in a unanimous vote, the board adopted resolution 2024-02 to not reemploy employee number 00132-107 effective for the 2024-2025 academic year. Additionally, the board directed the superintendent, president, and his designee to send out the appropriate legal notice to the affected employee.
So noted.
Yeah. Additionally, for consideration of student expulsion, again, there was a unanimous vote, and the board decided to expel the following students with the banner ID, student ID 00303848, 00483649, 00334595, 00341409. The board has directed the superintendent and president to notify the students of their expulsion. Now we'll call this order. Now we're in open session. We'll call to order. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please help me salute our nation's flag. Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, public comments. Per Board Policy 2350, any person may address the board at this time either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with a maximum time of 15 minutes per item, unless otherwise extended by the board. So I'd like to ask if there are anyone that'd like to speak concerning items on the agenda. Anyone would like to speak about items concerning items not on the agenda? Moving forward, we will board and executive staff report, starting with our student trustee report. Ms. Park.
So reports for this month. In Tulare had their preview night, which is introducing COS to our neighboring high school students. There was over 125 plus high schools in attendance on Tulare's campus February 6th, to learn about COS programs that are housed here on our campuses, both Tulare, Hanford, and Visalia, but mainly obviously Tulare because it was hosted at Tulare's campus. Also, the COS Ag Council was at our World Ag Expo the 13th through the 15th. They had a food booth there where they were able to raise money for their clubs. In Hanford, they are hosting Midterm Madness. It is that time of the year with tests and essays for us students. So they're hosting Midterm Madness where students are able to de-stress through this, I don't want to say difficult, but very stressful time of completing all these tests and essays that we're having. And then when it comes to our Visalia campus, next month in April, we will be hosting the first COS Spring Gala. This is the first gala kind of known to be hosted amongst community colleges. So this is something that we're very proud of as Student Senate. It is going to be a cocktail tire themed event hosted April 19th, where we will be having tickets sold for $5 per ticket. And they will be sold at the Student Activities Office, Hanford Hub, as well as the Tulare Student Services Center. And all these proceeds will be going to victims of sexual abuse and sex traffic victims to show our support to those people. So that's one event to look forward to. Board members, of course, you guys are all invited. If you would like to attend, your tickets would be free as well, compensated by Student Senate. But anyone's able to come, and students and staff are allowed to bring someone that is not a part of like the COS staff, or they're not a COS student as well. So they're allowed to have that +1. And then one last thing. On the 15th, the Student Senate, so the board that I'm a part of, we will be leaving for Washington, D.C., and we'll be there for 5 days attending a leadership conference on behalf of myself and then my fellow students as well as Will Hobbs. We want to say thank you for approving the trip for us. I've never been on the East Coast, so I'm really excited to attend and go to that leadership conference, meet a bunch of students, and also attend the very memorials that we have hosted over at Washington, D.C., as well as attend some museums. But other than that, that concludes my report for this month.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Have a great trip. Have fun.
Yeah, and I will also unfortunately be leaving early today. I do have those midterms I need to study for and complete. So the student comes first, so I will be leaving as well for tonight.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and I will take these as well. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Well, tell President Biden hi for us.
See, we're supposed to go to the Capitol, but we're only doing a tour because we have no representative for California. So we're just supposed to get a tour of the Capitol.
Because McCarthy's gone?
Mhm,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so we'll see. Maybe you'll be there. Have a good night, you guys.
Thank you. Moving to board member reports. Trustee Sherman,
No report.
Trustee Nunes,
Let's see, don't think I have a report per se, but this may be my one and only opportunity to walk the red carpet, so that may be something to do.
That's right. Good.
no comments about basketball. I saw you really motivated out there at the referees. Having fun.
Someone else that looked remarkably like him.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
tell
You
you,
wouldn't
so
do
you shouldn't have opened the door there, Raymond. Saturday, our game was at 7, so what did I do on Saturday? Well, at 1 o'clock, I attended the Fresno State Columbia University baseball game. At 4 o'clock, I went across the street and watched Fresno State get whomped by Wyoming. And then I drove to Visalia and watched COS come out in front of a very scrappy College of the Redwoods team. I was impressed by, they didn't have any size, but I'll tell you what, they hung in that game for a long time.
It's the third year in a row we've sent Redwoods home, though. You remember that? Third straight year. Last year in the same round, and that was the round of 16. 3 years ago, we sent them home in the round of 32. Same coach. He's so tired of coming to Visalia.
So what's the story of the referees?
It's just Ken channeling his inner Luther Kerjigian.
Very animated. I was impressed to see him, how into the game he was. That's all I wanted to. Trustee Lane.
Nothing other than sports related, which was a similar experience at Kent's. High regards for our coaching staff, men's and the women's. They just present such a good example, for the students, for the fans. High kudos for them.
Wilson?
Ditto. I won't repeat, but I agree with what's already been said.
I have a few things I wanted to share, but I'll try to abbreviate them. This past Friday, I was a guest speaker at COS's ProCon, which is a professional conference for COS students with a variety of majors, and got to speak with the students about work-life balance, the importance of networking. But being a first-generation student myself, just sharing my experience and my motivation to continue to strive for education, so I was really proud to be there amongst the students. I was hosted at Fresno Pacific University, and it was over 50 students there, so it was great. I joined the ethnic studies professor, Octavio Barajas, for the campus tour with the Native American high school students, guided by COS Native students. Great, just encourage them to pursue higher education. I did attend a men's and women's basketball doubleheader, not this last week, but the week before. My children are in basketball, so they get to play basketball and then see professionals do it. I did attend the virtual meeting with Dolores Huerta, who engaged with students as part of the Civic Engagement Speaker Series hosted by the Political Science Department. I attended via Zoom the Triple CT Candidates Forum yesterday. Great to see all the different trustees talk about their community colleges yesterday. This week I'm looking forward to speaking at the first social or networking mixer for the COS Latino Alumni Network, and just learn a little bit more about their interest to engage with Latino alumni, possibly give out scholarships, mentor students, and so I think their main goal is to network with, and then of course be part of the success of COS. I was also invited to speak at a COS dual enrolled student for students in their classroom at Orosi High School this week. I was also invited to speak at the annual Cesar Chavez March on Saturday, March 23rd. And then I'm looking forward to the school board meetings at our local high schools that are normally scheduled in March and April. Yeah. Moving on, foundation report, Mr. Foster.
Just have a few quick announcements. I had to elongate the list of events. We're getting into event season, folks. April and May usually, but at the top we have our Hall of Fame induction ceremony that is happening next Thursday. We have our round of CSF celebrations. And then we have, I just want to get started on your calendar, starting in May now, where we have Scholarship Night and Anastasia Princess Tea Party. I've noted those because Scholarship Night anchors 5 to 7 events that occur in the Porter Fieldhouse in rapid succession following that Scholarship Night. The foundation affords getting the Porter Fieldhouse converted into a venue for events. And around May, we have a lot of events to happen. So we're able to work with the rental companies to set it up and leave it that way, do some minor reconfigurations to satisfy the needs of each of the individual programs. But those programs are able to have all that set up in place where they would normally not have the resources to accomplish that kind of venue. So that's where you start seeing just tables and chairs and plastic tablecloths in the quad, which we have a very nice quad, but it's not air conditioned. It's not carpeted. It's not linen tablecloths and that type of thing. So and a good outdoor stage. So we have all that set up in the Porter Fieldhouse. So these are just the two that the foundation are being involved in, but rest assured there will be some other notable events occurring in that week of May. I also, Trustee Macareno mentioned the Dolores Huerta virtual event. That was put on by the Cultural Historical Awareness Program, CHAP. And that program has been funded by the COS Foundation through our foundation project funding for over 6 years now. And we set out to do like an event a semester, and now we'll have had 3 in 2 months. So we had the Dolores Huerta one. You met our new visiting Fulbright scholar, Dr. Blanco Barrera. He will be a speaker, and I gave you a flyer here. So Dr. Blanco Barrera will be talking about the projects that he has done and the project that he is in the process of doing here at the College of Sequoias. So if you'd like some time with him, that will be on Wednesday, March 13th from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Ponderosa Lecture Hall. And then on the 19th, we have another event at the Ponderosa Lecture Hall from 6 to 7, and that is being hosted by a panel of 3 wonderful history professors that are going to be covering the Ku Klux Klan in the Central Valley, and so how going to share their research on all the historical activities of the Ku Klux Klan in the Central Valley, as well as the way the local communities have resisted white supremacy and racism over the years. So very important topic. I think that will be competently handled by these three panelists. Again, that's on March 19th from 6 to 7 at the Ponderosa. So I just wanted to highlight those events coming up and the COS Foundation's involvement in those.
Questions for Mr. Foster?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Moving on to accreditation report, Dr. Lacerna.
Good evening. Quick report. The ACCJC has announced nominations for 3 academic positions on the commission, and those are for faculty members. And so there's application due March 29th, and those are posted on the ACCJC website. And our accreditation work group is well under the way of writing our next report, so we will keep you updated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Superintendent President's report, Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. I've got 4 or 5 things, mostly positive, and then one kind of a doom and gloom at the end when I talk a little bit about budget. But I want to start off with the CCCT board elections. Recall that once a year we have an opportunity to vote on the statewide trustees that represent this board. Raymond this year has thrown his name into the ring, so we're excited about that. Generally, the board allows the board president and me as the superintendent president to review the candidates and vote for, in this case, the 7 seats that are open. Raymond's done his homework. He sat in, as he said, he sat in on the Zoom interviews with all the candidates and participated in that. We've got a nice slate of 7, and we would ask for your support in casting that ballot in the next week or 2. That's item number 1. Second item, I tried to get our basketball team here. They were finishing practice and not going to be done until 5:30 or 6, but just wanted to publicly congratulate them on their 5th straight Elite 8 or state tournament appearance. Just amazing. There may be 2 or 3 programs in the state with that kind of success, and ours is one of them. Our women lost Saturday night in the round of 16, so for maybe the first time in 3 or 4 years, they won't be moving on, but their program is equally strong. A lot to be proud of in that field house out there. Last week I spent Thursday and Friday in Los Angeles at the AMEND African American Student Leadership Conference that was held at the LAX Hyatt. Always a fabulous conference, 1,300 students from across our system. Really, really fun. And this year was particularly special because many of you know Julian Smith. He's a STEM major here on our campus, and he provided the closest thing to a student keynote address at this conference in front of 1,300 people. It was the founder and president of the group, followed by the executive director, followed by Julian to open up the conference. And he was amazing. He was so good. And then that afternoon, he sat on a panel of 5 students that had gone to Rwanda last summer and represented not only the College of Sequoias, but our entire system, and just shared that out. And that was the most well-attended breakout session that they had over the 3-day conference. And again, Julian stole the show. And then in the Knowledge Bowl, which is something, it's almost like Jeopardy for Black history, Julian and several other great students finished second to Pasadena City College. Last year they finished second to, I believe, San Diego City College. This year we can almost hang it on us as administrators or chaperones for not helping them out. They were on Julian's laptop, which is great, except for it doesn't have a touch screen. And you get points not only for having the correct answer for these, but also how fast you do it. And even though out of, I think, 50 questions, we missed one, Pasadena lost 2. But along the way, because we didn't have the touch screen, we were losing just 5-6 points at a time. So out of I think we ended up with 18,000 points or something like that. We lost by 150. So anyway, they were fabulous, and I was so proud of that group. And anyway, we had 25 or 30 students and 10 chaperones. Just had a heck of a good time. And then I think we're going to save we have a video of our PrintWorks Club and their experience in Chicago, right? I think let's finish on that, because that'll be a high note. I need to address
Hey,
Nick.
Brett,
Yes.
tell me, I'm sorry
No,
to
no.
interrupt, but tell me where Julian is from.
Julian was in the United States military. He's a veteran student. Has been here for 2 years. Didn't grow up here, so I couldn't tell you where he went to high
Okay,
school.
right.
But just a phenomenal young man. I tell him he's got my vote for governor anytime he decides to run. He's a big-time individual. Yeah. So Megan's going to hold the PrintWorks video so we can finish on a high note. I know our board and people in the community and people on campus are asking me about next year's budget. We have several opportunities to hear about this year's budget almost every other month by Vice President Perez. Next year's budget we got a peek at in January, and it was kind of doom and gloom. And I want to keep it from being doom and gloom, except for at that point, I think they estimated the budget deficit to be about $38 billion. I think we all heard that. And even with that, they were talking about maybe a COLA of 0.76%. That alone wouldn't cover our own step and column increases, not to mention the other costs we have. So it's not going to be a great year. We just found out a week or two ago from the LAO's office, the Legislative Analyst's office, that the deficit's probably about double that. It's probably about $75 billion. So I don't know what the May revise is going to look like. I'm not real hopeful it's going to look good. But we've made it through probably the worst budget year that any of us will live through. Those of us that were here in the 11-12 year, happened to me of all times, my interim year, really, really tough year. And we made it through COVID without layoffs and other things. So I'm confident we can get through this. But I just wanted to kind of go through some of the things that are sort of working against us. Because in addition to the 0.76 COLA, which we may or may not get, they're not extending the COLA to our strong workforce or our student equity and access funding. We hire and retain a lot of faculty and staff on those two areas, and yet they don't fund COLA on those things. So it's a challenge. So when we do a 9.22% raise last year, the state's not paying for those increases for those areas, and that has to come out of our general fund. It can be a real challenge. And so even if there is a 0.76 COLA, there are some holes in that. But in addition, there's a few things that I wanted our board to be aware of. And you'll recall that last year, in the last month or two of the budget year, they pulled back $5.2 million of our deferred maintenance funds. That's the way we paint and re-roof and remodel and all those kinds of things to make our campus as fresh as we always keep it. They pulled back $5.2 million about a month before the fiscal year ended. If you can imagine that, getting paid something and then 11 months later they pulled it back. Well, those things still have to happen, and so we had to find a way without that $5.2 million to do it. And then here we are 8 months into the current year, and after the big COLA they gave us and all that stuff last year, last week or 2 weeks ago, they came out and they gave us a deficit factor. This is their way of saying, you know, that money we thought we were going to give you, we can't afford it. So that we're going to deficit factor you by 3.5%. So right now, they're looking at taking back 3.5 million from our current budget, not next year's, but our current budget, 8 months in. That's just kind of the kind of barriers that or obstacles that the state throws at us. So I needed to say that publicly for our board and for our entire COS community to say, you're going to hear a lot about a bad budget year. I mean, we're already seeing layoffs up and down the state like I haven't seen since probably the 11-12 year. That's not the plan here. We're strong enough fiscally, I think, to weather most of this, but we will need to tighten our belts a little bit. I wanted everyone to be aware of that. Again, I don't want to be doom and gloom because we've made it before through worse circumstances, but it will be a challenging year. Yeah, great.
Are they doing it to every community college or just us because we've got those kind of reserves?
No, I think the entire system will get the same thing. And then K through 12, I mean, we read that San Diego Unified is laying off 500 staff members, or did last week. Fresno Unified is planning some. I haven't heard about Visalia. So I think it goes beyond any one system or one community college or school district. I think I think it's pretty universal. So with that, let's bring it back up. Sorry for the doom and gloom. Let's bring it back up. And Richard Levin passed on a video that our PrintWorks group compiled after a trip to Chicago to an art conference back there, and was so impressed with our student narrator, and I think you will be as well.
Our Printmaking Art Club had the chance to travel to Chicago, Illinois. Never been in Chicago. This was my first time, and I fell in love with this city. There's so much to see. We went there for a printmaking conference that was hosted by the National Museum of Mexican Art, and this is self-organized workshop by printmakers in the area that are primarily Mexican. The organizers, who are well-known printmakers, were there. They welcomed us. We had the chance to ask questions straight to some of the artists that were exhibiting. I took my best prints, and at the beginning I was really nervous. I started interacting with other artists, but they start also approaching me do you do artwork? And I said yes.
Is it beautiful and perfect?
Yeah.
Beautiful and perfect.
Can I do it like this? Yeah, sure. Okay. Some of their pieces are expensive, and they were willing to exchange their work with my pieces. It had an impact on me because it builds confidence. It encouraged you to continue on this path. While we were there, we took advantage to visit the Art Institute of Chicago. We went running. We had no time because we had to be on time at the conference. Inside, it was just the exhibitions, painting, sculpture, and from different cultures. Having opportunities to travel to other events that relate to us enhance our education. You are exposed to different ways to work, and you are able to see that great things are happening with larger institutions, that you can have the support. Students will be exposed to these other realities. Sometimes you don't see it unless you go out of the county. It helped me because I understood that printmaking is something I really love, and encouraged us to keep going.
And special thanks to Lauren and Vanessa, Jonathan. They do such a great job of capturing these things, and we just tell our story better than we ever have in our history. So thanks to our marketing folks.
Can I make a comment? Sure. I had the opportunity to visit, I think, the classroom. And one of the things that was interesting, of course, they have a lot of great equipment, but they have in the center of their room a probably 8, 9 foot, maybe even 10 foot tall artwork by 6. And they said they're only going to make 10 of them, and they're already sold out, but they're going overseas. I can't remember, somewhere in Europe, maybe Sweden or something, that had purchased them, but it was just amazing to see such a large piece of artwork that all the students are involved with, and the artwork that was created here at COS here in Visalia is going overseas, and that was interesting. It's amazing.
Especially to a former artist like yourself.
Yeah, yes.
What's this sculpture of?
It's I think it has either Aztec or Mayan background. It's one of the, I've seen it. It's a, I know for a fact I can't pronounce the name, but it's just a, I think it's a statue, maybe an Aztec god or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. Yeah.
Great.
Wonderful. Okay, moving on. Item 6, reports. Starting with Academic Senate President Report and Update. Mr. Arzola.
Thank you, President Trustee Macareno, other members of the board. Thank you, Superintendent President Dr. Calvin, and folks in the room. Just a couple things I want to make sure I touch on here. First things first, as I mentioned at my last report, the Academic Senate was engaging in the process of amending our Constitution, looking to enfranchise all faculty. Right now, the vote on those amendments is ongoing. It's been going on since Thursday. It concludes tomorrow evening, and then we'll definitely report the outcomes of that vote at the Academic Senate meeting next Wednesday afternoon. I also wanted to make sure that I extend to you all an invitation to attend the Academic Senate Faculty Service Awards slated for May 8th. For those of you who have attended in the past, usually the first hour or so is dedicated for the awards. And then after that, we have our regular Senate business. And so please, we'll begin at 4:10 on that day. Then a couple things I wanted to just share with you from the work that I do with the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges. If you recall, my last report, I advised you all that the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges were asked if we could host 2 events. It was one event on curriculum, another on dual enrollment. Those events went off on March 8th? Yeah, I think so, last Friday. It was well attended. We had close to 100 folks from the Central Valley region. It was better attended than the one in Bakersfield. That's all I was worried about, so I'm good. But the team definitely wanted me to extend a deep appreciation to the district, and in particular the food service folks. I can tell you if we had a poll, the ASCCC team would have certainly ranked College of the Sequoias #1 in what we did to host them, and what put us over the top, I'm sure put us over the top, was the food. So
Wasn't I welcome?
well, I can tell you this, Dr. Calvin, the ASCCC team did acknowledge that the superintendent president kind of gave an open standing invitation, and as far as I know, there is active conversation about bringing ASCCC events to the campus.
Let's go.
And then the last thing I wanted just to report, 2 weeks ago on February 28th, I spent the full day at the state capitol conducting legislative and advocacy work with the ASCCC on behalf of faculty up and down the state. I met with several state senators and assembly members looking to hopefully keep as much as our budget, the system budget, intact as possible. And from what I heard as well, doom and gloom, but we're hoping that they don't cut us too bad. From what I was advised, about $500 million is going to be taken from the California Community College system, and that roughly amounts to about 3.5% of colleges up and down the system. But that's it.
Much. Any questions for Mr. Arzola? What was the date again? I'm sorry, was it May 8th?
May 8th, yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Moving on with reports, Costa President Report Update, Ms. Redden. Hello.
Hi, how's everybody doing? So I'm the first one to admit that I'm very happy we have a healthy reserve, so, especially with all this doom and gloom. But, I just want to remind us, it's temporary. I remember sitting here last month hearing that we didn't spend $9 million of our budget last year, and so $7 million of it you'll be asked to transfer in 2 months in April. So, so hopefully it sounds like we can handle it. So looking forward, next year also, from what I'm hearing, is it's going to create our base from our FTES. We're not going to get COLA. It sounds like, even if it comes around, it's not going to be that much. But we can create more income by our FTES. So we look forward to working with our VP on creating that FTES as much as we can.
We are capped.
Yeah.
We're capped, so we're at our cap. So we're not gonna, we could add all the FTS and it'd be unfunded, but I love.
But it'll
I love
create
the-
it for the future. I mean,
love
when
the
that stops. Well,
Yeah, it's capped, but I love the enthusiasm. Thank you, Tracy. Nope.
Report CSEA President's Report and Update, Ms. Kane.
Good evening. Only thing I have is we also have our service awards for classified staff a little bit sooner, though. We're actually this Wednesday, the 13th. It's going to be from 2 to 3 in the afternoon here on the Visalia campus in Sequoia Room 1. Just light refreshments. I'm throwing things. What I did want to highlight is this amazing recognition we're going to be able to do of 570 years of service. That includes 11 25-year awards. So I just wanted to let you know that I think that that's an outstanding thing for someone to stick it out for 25 years, let alone 11 people for us to be able to honor in 1 year. So if anyone's able to make it, we would love to see you.
I'm one of the 25 years.
All right. You stuck it out. You are too, Karen?
And another
You guys have stuck it out.
Thank you very much.
It's 500 and something.
Was it, I think I have on my calendar about 2 o'clock, or what was
Yes,
the?
from 2 to 3.
2 to 3, yeah. Very good. COSAFA President's Update, Ms. Alberti. No? Okay. Moving forward, item 7, information, above base resource allocation, 2023-2024, Dr. Calvin.
That's good. Caught me off guard.
I can do it if you want me to do it.
No, I'm happy to do it. So, every year, as part of our process, through program review, divisions that go through it are asked, what one-time dollars over and above your regular budget do you need, and what for? Those eventually come to the budget committee from our 4 service areas, and we generally have $300,000 available for that. This year, we had 24 requests that made it to be prioritized, and we were able to fund 18 of them. You see that on pages 3, 4, and 5. We ended up funding, it looks like, well, we had 17 requests from academic services, 6 from student services, and then 1 from administrative services. I don't know if we have the breakdown for where the funded ones came from. Is that right, Ron? Yeah. For a total of just under $302,000. Yes, we know it's going to be a rough budget year, but we were advised, gosh, probably 10, 15 years ago, when we were going through accreditation, that it's really, really important for divisions, even in a tough budget year, to know that they can go through this process of above base funding and be able to get the things that they need, especially when it's one-time dollars, as several people just pointed out. Reserves can really help with one-time dollars. you need new microscopes, you need new textbooks, you need this or that. It's set up perfectly for one-time dollars. I think what doesn't make good business sense is to hire people or commit to ongoing increases in something with one-time dollars like a reserve. So we think this is a wonderful example of our process playing out with above base funding, $300,000, and again, 18 different things that divisions took the time to say they needed. So wanted you to be aware of that we've approved this $300,000 in above base funding, which will be one time out of one-time dollars. Happy to answer any questions about the individual requests if you have them.
I just have one out of curiosity.
Mhm.
Of course, I looked at the higher dollar items, and I didn't know what an MBTI assessment report was for counseling.
Myers-Briggs Identificator.
Oh, Myers-Briggs, okay, yeah, I've done
What-
that.
what-
so I know.
what-
So what is that? So 24,000, what is that spent on?
No, I did psych, so I just.
Myers-Briggs.
It's part of the counseling course curriculum, and the reason why it's been asked as a one-time is the department has kind of piloted it for the last 3 years, and this is the last year kind of the pilot, and then they'll decide if we're gonna go in a different direction, or if we're going to keep it, they'll perhaps add it as a student fee as part of the course. So it's kind of the last of a 3-year series, kind of a pilot that our counseling division has been using. And it helps students undeclared majors find their interests, their personality types, and kind of a way to a major in a pathway.
But the money is spent then getting the tests evaluated? Is that what?
It's the cost of the certification and the actual tests that are administered have I can't remember, $55 cost that right now we're absorbing and the student is not.
That's what that's for. Okay, I understood. I wasn't sure if it was for a machine
Oh,
or
I see.
software or, okay, got it.
And then on the last page, with the ones that did not get approved, just want to let you know, we are working with, like, for example, the RAD room. You know, when you see a transfer into capital projects, that's when Byron Woods works with. For this one would be from the student services area, so if you're looking at rooms, funding for remodels, you'll see the Chromebooks, laptops, that's already in the works with information technology, tables and stools, again, that's institutional, so that falls into Byron's area. And then there's one more, I think, in laptop and counseling, again, working with Glenn and his folks to get that. So those, even though they didn't get approved through above base, they are in the works through another app.
Normally, some of these go to the foundation?
Foundation.
Yes. Okay.
That's like the third bite of the apple.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions, trustees? Nope. Okay, moving forward, that was just informational. Next is one-time funds and unrestricted general funds 2023-2024, one-time funds expenditure plan. Mr. Perez.
Thank you. Megan, if you can go to the, you all heard about the three-legged stool, correct? Well, I'm going to tell you a story about the three-legged stool. Before my time, you heard, this is how we do resource allocation at COS, the district, integrated planning. On the far left-hand side, you just heard President Calvin talk about the one-time funds above base. So that's on the left-hand side. Everybody puts that in their program review. Jordan does this fine work, sends it to the budget committee. We have a rubric. We grade or we rank them, and then you just saw what we just approved. In the middle column, the yellow is base budget. What that is, it's no additional money to your discretionary budget, but you do have an opportunity to have you have the opportunity to reallocate your budget now. For example, you had 10,000 in discretionary, 5 in supplies, 3 in travel, something and something else. You have the ability to reallocate that within your budget. No extra money, but you can reallocate. Currently on the right-hand side, we're going to ongoing base budget augmentation. That's what we're doing now. Working with the vice presidents, they're working with their staff on, are there any additional needs to your discretionary funding for next year, 24-25? So what's happening now, there was, the deadline was the end of this month. Each vice president will send their information on to me. We'll review it in senior management. It'll go to the budget committee, ultimately go to DGS, and then to you as tentative budget. Again, we're all waiting to see what May Revise is going to have. So that's the base budget allocation. If you scroll up, the bottom right-hand side is what I'm going to be talking about tonight. It's occasionally, if there's some one-time funds that Tracy just alluded to just earlier, you think last month you saw a surplus of 9.7. That's our opportunity on the right-hand corner here is looking at the district needs. What do we have? You heard President Calvin talk about the state taking away $5.4 million of our scheduled maintenance last fiscal year, 1 month left in the fiscal year. It's not only scheduled maintenance, but it's also the old instructional equipment, library material that Dr. Lacerna uses for instructional equipment. We took it all away 100% from Byron. We didn't want to take anything away from the classroom, so we took it as scheduled maintenance, betting that we might have a surplus at the end of this year, and we would fund that into capital projects for this year for him to do scheduled maintenance. So again, I just wanted to give you a recap on our resource allocation model. Megan, if you go to the first page, and this is just a recap. You'll see in your quarterly report, we're showing a 9.7 surplus this year. What we have is our transfer, or what we're asking you, and this is just information on this month. Next month, it'll be for board action. Again, before I go over all of this, it's been approved by the Budget Committee and DGS. For you, it's information. So the $7 million is commercial properties. You know, we own the liquor store, there was the computer store, and another store moved out. We own the south third. We're currently looking at purchasing the middle third. Now we're looking at purchasing the next two, which is Blueprint Fitness and Aladdin Bail Bonds, if I can read that, for our university center. So we're putting $2 million away there. No interest in operating Foster Freeze, so we're looking at real estate there. There was a Tulare Applied Technology Trades Complex, we're building that now, but there was a grant called the F3 grant, and there was too many strings attached that followed the money. Conversation with Luann, the president and senior manager, was to terminate that grant. In that grant, it had $1 million for FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, for that phase 2. So we're asking $1 million to come out of our surplus to fund that equipment. If you've seen that building over there, it's a lot of high-tech equipment that's going to go in there. And then the technology department, last year they asked for $3 million. We granted a little over, I think it was $1 million, and this year we're asking $1.5 million. Again, what that's going to do is being able to replace high Wi-Fi, computers in the classroom, the podiums, what have you. So total of that is $7 million that we are asking to transfer out of the general fund into the capital project, so we can spend them on these needs here. Let's see here, and I think that's it. So again, if you go to the last page, it gives you kind of this, I think one more down, Megan. Keep going. There you go. Just a recap of it. Even though that surplus has grown, that was as of January. This is what I showed the Budget Committee, but it's now 9.7, and you'll see the 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, and I forgot the capital project remodels of the scheduled maintenance of 2.5, so a total of $7 million. Again, just a reminder, 5.4 was taken away last year. We're trying to put another 2.5 in. We're estimating, if you go to the last row, about 2.5, 2.7, that's going to be ending at this fiscal year, and it might grow. Just depends on people's spending habits. Again, then we might want to.
What this doesn't include, excuse me, Ron, what this doesn't include, though, is the 3.5% deficit factor that we just learned about.
Right.
So that'll take out $3.5 million from our current budget. Luckily for us, the state didn't ask us to do this, but we always try to do things a little conservatively. We already had our own self-inflicted deficit factor of 1%, $1 million to start. The difference between what we had deficit factors and what the state is telling us now is about $2.5 million. So if that holds true, we're going to be basically right at break even, if you will. So it's not like this money goes unspent. It's being spent on technology, deferred maintenance that the state took away from us, purchasing the commercial buildings for our university center, and all that adds up to about $7 million.
And then again, anything that at the very, very end that falls out, we're looking at putting that into the reserve to build a reserve health reserve is always a good thing to have, knowing that we're going into a little downturn in the budget. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time. Again, this is information. I'll bring it back next month for board action.
Any questions for Mr. Perez?
No questions. I just would comment to Ron and that the review of the resource allocation model is always good for me to kind of get back, remind me how things kind of come together.
Item 8, consent calendar. All items listed in the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees or any person in the audience and considered a separate agenda item. The items for consideration are minutes to the previous meeting, personnel report, payment of bills, 2023-2024 working budget approval.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Cardoza, seconded by Trustee Sherman. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, action items. Starting with number 7, curriculum, new, modified, and deleted. Dr. Lacerna.
Hi, everyone. Again, this curriculum report has been approved by the Curriculum Committee and the Academic Senate and is recommended that the board approve this. The very first thing on your list is the new COSG general education requirements. And the purpose of this is to align with the new Cal-GETC pattern. And this has been discussed by our GE committee at length and Academic Senate at length and everyone else. But if you can go to the last page of this report, Megan, I think it will be helpful to, oh, you don't have it here. Okay, we'll keep it there. In your packet, I added, so no, stay on that one, that last page. Yeah, and in your packet for the board members, if you can refer to the green and orange one, what you see in green is what is up here on the board, and orange is our current GE pattern. So currently, this is to get an AA degree, you need to complete what you see in the orange areas is the current our current GE pattern. So in alignment with Cal-GETC, what you see in the screen and what is green on that extra page is the new proposed areas for our GE pattern. So what we're trying to do is stay within the 25, but also meet the new requirements to align with Cal-GETC. And so this is the new pattern that you're seeing up there. English composition, we had already written communication, oral and critical thinking, and a math and quantitative reasoning. And before we didn't have the math, it was just the oral communication. Arts and humanities at 3, social behavioral sciences at 3, natural sciences at 3, and then ethnic studies is new. That's a new requirement from the state and also aligns with Cal-GETC for a 3-unit course in ethnic studies. We used to have 2 units of physical education, 3 health and wellness, and 3 of American institutions. And we are no longer going to have those subject requirements, but we will have a new area that's number 7 on the green, which is lifelong and holistic development. And those courses may be included in there depending on if faculty, they will need to request to be included in that area. And then our competency requirements of English 1 and Math 230 are no longer there. They're embedded above. And we've kept the information literacy competency of 1 unit. Or they can test. The students can take a test for that. So the major changes are the addition of the ethnic studies and the elimination of the local subject requirements and instead including lifelong learning and holistic development. And then that requirement for the math moved up into the proposed into an area. It still equals 25 units, but that will be for our local GE.
When does that take effect?
It will be for fall. And the one that will be coming for fall of 2020, so for fall 24, Cal-GETC then is for transfer to a UC or CSU, and for all of our ADTs, our associate degrees for transfer will require the CalGETC. That will be coming to you later. That one is to be started in fall of 2025. So this is just our local that will start in fall 2024.
What if you have a student that's finishing up their freshman year? Which one will they use?
They get catalog rights for the year that they're in. So if they started this year, they're good with what they're doing right now. This only would change for
orange.
they're orange. Students coming in fall in 2024 will be green. Okay, so that's the first thing on the report. So Megan, thank you. If you can go back to the beginning. Then there's several new courses in interpreting ASL, we have a dance appreciation, and then last month we added the paramedic program code, and I jumped the gun a little bit because I realized it wasn't the paramedic program yet, but we have all of the paramedic classes on this one, so these are the new courses to complete the paramedic program. Then we have course modifications, so those are just the regular 5-year reviews in AJ and ITech. On the next page, there's math, regular 5-year reviews for our math courses, and then pharmacy technician and some work experience. Then we have a course deletion and 2 new programs. So the Associate of Science in Paramedicine and the Certificate of Achievement in Sanitary Welding Applications. And so the paramedicine, that's our paramedic program that I talked to you about last month. And I do want to introduce Nick Branch. You met him at your at the lunch, but he is our paramedic director, and he is the one, he wasn't here last month, but he is the one that has been writing curriculum like mad, going in and out of Sarah Harris's office every day, working with Jonna. He's pulled all his hair out. He's doing an incredible job. We hired the right person, and this is huge. Getting this, once you all approve this tonight, it's a huge accolades for him.
And I'm still getting death threats from the city of Visalia for hiring the guy. So way to go, Nick.
Yeah. So he got this through in light speed, where he's this month doing recruitment affairs, recruitment events for students, and the first group will start in June once this is approved. So it's faster than normal. He's done a fabulous job. And then we have program modification, and those are just regular 2-year review, regular updates for our Associates of Science and our certificates, and that is the report.
Very good. Any questions for Dr. Lacerna?
My question is just with regards to early indications of interest. Is it as you would have anticipated?
Too early to tell. It's open through mid-April. We have had applications kind of trickling in, so we've had about 2 a day since it's open. And I'm fully expecting most of these students to be procrastinators. EMS industry, so I think early April we'll have a good idea.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
I am happy to approve the curriculum report.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nunes, seconded by trustee Cardoza. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 8, non-resident tuition fee 2024-2025. Mr. Perez?
Yes, just a reminder, this was on the agenda last month. We pulled it due to getting some last-minute clarification from the Chancellor's office on them defining what gradual, moderate, and predictable rates, what that meaning was. At first it was, if you would scroll up just a little bit, Megan, yeah, right there. At first it was, no, you cannot set your own rates. It has to be either 347, oh, I'm sorry, we're talking about non-resident tuition. Currently we charge $248 per credit hour on top of the 46 that we charge. It would either be 347 or 406 going into next academic year. Historically, we were able to use a contiguous district. We always chose Kern or State Center because they had lower rates. You'll see, and that's no longer on the table. They say you can no longer use that. Either 347 or 406, but nothing in between or nothing less than 347. So what they came out and says, okay, we've heard from the CEOs, the CBOs, the CSS, so everybody up and down the state, we're going to allow you to phase it in now. So we're going to phase it in. So if you go to the last page, Megan, what you see there is just worksheets. You don't really need to see that part. That's my certification. But at that part there is I want to show you what the other districts are charging that are in our region. You'll see on 23-24, you'll see the community colleges on the left-hand side. You'll see where we stand in 23-24. So we're the least expensive on non-resident. And then going in 24-25, what we would have if they didn't relook at what gradual, moderate, predictable increase would have been. It would have been a 40% increase, which is a big increase for a community college student out of state. So what we're looking at in the middle part of the page there is, so we're at 248. We're asking for a 10% increase over the next 4 years. So next year it'll be 273 plus the 46 credit rate that's currently going on right now. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. You'll see we're going out in 4 years, so in 27-28, it'll be 363, but most likely the district average at times is going to be higher than 363. So we'll have to look at it again when we get there. Yes.
We just felt like it was crazy. The concept behind this is when a student comes in from out of state or out of the country for that matter, their family or they themselves haven't been paying California taxes to pay for our system. I think we can all understand that, but when you add up 347 plus the 46, that's on top of it. The local fees are on top of it, and a few other things. You're talking about $400 a unit, and you multiply that by a full load, 24 to 30, you're in the $10,000 to $12,000 range. Well, I mean, 4-year universities aren't that much. Fresno State is not that much. So we all, as a system, pushed back on the chancellor's office and said, we think this is too much, and at the very least, we should be able to phase this in. So they kind of met us halfway and allowed us to phase it in this way. I'm still not real happy about it, to be honest. I think $250 a unit plus the 46, I don't feel like it should go higher than that, but we've lost, for the time being, we've lost that battle. And it doesn't really have an effect on our budget either way. We don't have a ton of out-of-state students. Some schools do, but we don't. But it's more a matter of principle. I don't think students should be paying more to come to the College of Sequoias than they would to Fresno State.
I move we approve the non-resident tuition fees.
Motion from trustee Sherman, a second from trustee Lane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Number 9 is public hearing on the district and CACA's initial successor collective bargaining proposals. It is recommended that the board conduct a public hearing to provide members of the public an opportunity to address the board with comments and/or questions or concerns regarding the district's and the CACA's initial successor collective bargaining proposal. Mr. Bratt.
You said everything I was going to say, so I don't know what else I need to say, other than open up the board, open up the public hearing.
Okay. Public hearing. Anyone wish to add any comments or any concerns regarding? No? Close? Okay. Close the public hearing. I'll just read the title for the next one. Public hearing on the district and Costa's initial successor collective bargaining proposals. Mr. Bratt.
Same thing, if the board would open up a public hearing for the public to make comments, I'd appreciate it.
We're now in public hearing. Anyone wish to speak or make comment or concerns? Seeing none, I will close public hearing. Okay. 11, public hearing on the district and COSAFA's initial successor collective bargaining proposals. Mr. Bratch.
Same thing, open up a public hearing.
Okay.
This was the easiest agenda I've ever had.
We now move to public hearing. Anyone wish to speak, make comments or concerns regarding the initial successor collective bargaining proposals? Seeing none, we will close public hearing. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Way to go, John. Woo-hoo.
Item 12, board policy, second reading, the following, excuse me, Dr. Calvin.
Look at you, Amy. You want to do the whole meeting, don't you?
He's gonna control it.
We've got two BPs, board members that you're seeing for a second time, 4225 course repetition and 4300 field trips and excursions. Happy to answer any questions you have about either of these two. I don't think there were many, if any, changes, but
Well, I just want to make a comment first on 4300, right before the use of district, if we could put Sequoia Community College District.
yes, in the first line.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a motion from unless anyone else have any questions?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from trustee Cardoza, a second from trustee Sherman for the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 13, board policies, first read.
And here for a first read are four board policies. 4020, Program Curriculum and Development, BP 4100, Graduation Requirements for Degrees and Certificates, BP 4235, Credit for Prior Learning, BP 4260, Prerequisites and Co-requisites. Happy to answer any questions. As always, new language is bold and underlined, and deleted language has a strike through in it. Happy to answer any questions you might have about these four BPs.
We just need to move it to the second reading?
Correct.
So move.
I guess the obvious question there is we're striking out with agreement with the Academic Senate. Is that by some sort of a state or what?
No, you see down below, we've added, the superintendent president will consult with the academic senate on 10+1 matters as specified in APBP 2510.
Okay.
I think it's another way of skinning the cat, as they say.
And then how about the number of units? Is that dictated by the state or by us? The 16 to 18? State, okay.
Oh, 4100, yes, yeah. From going from 18 to 16, that's the state.
Okay, I move for approval and move to second read for the BPs as outlined in agenda item 13.
Motion. That was a fancy way of seconding what Greg already did.
Oh, great.
Motion by.
So formal, Ken.
I didn't hear him.
Motion
I'll
by.
second that.
Yeah. Motion by trustee Sherman, seconded by trustee Nunes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, sounds good. Thank you everyone for being here. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.